Welcome to our channel. Improve your English easily by listening to stories. Watch carefully and you will love it. Now let's begin today's story. Thomas was 65 years old. He lived in a small house at the end of a quiet street. The house was old but clean. Thomas kept it nice. Every morning he made tea. Every evening he watered his small garden. Thomas had one son. His son's name was Daniel. Daniel was 28 years old. He worked in the city. The city was far from Thomas's small house. Daniel was busy with his job. He was busy with his friends. He was busy with his new life. One day, Daniel came to visit his father. He sat at the table. He looked at his father's face. Thomas smiled, but his eyes looked tired. "Dad," Daniel said, "I have some news." Thomas put down his cup. "What news, son?" "I got a new job," Daniel said. "It is in another country. It is a very good job. I must go next month." Thomas was quiet for a moment. Then he smiled. "That is wonderful news, Daniel. I am happy for you." But inside, Thomas felt something heavy in his heart. He did not show it. He did not want to make his son sad. The next morning changed everything. Daniel packed his bags. Thomas helped him. They did not talk much. There were no big words, just small movements. A shirt folded, a bag closed, a door opened. At the airport, Daniel hugged his father. "I will call you every week, Dad, I promise." Thomas nodded. "Go, son, live your life, don't worry about me." Daniel walked through the gate. Thomas watched him until he disappeared. Then Thomas walked home alone. The house felt different now. It felt big and empty. Thomas sat in his chair. He looked at the empty chair across from him. Nobody knew how lonely Thomas felt that night. Weeks passed. Daniel called sometimes, but not every week like he promised. He was busy. His new job was hard. His new city was exciting. Slowly the calls became shorter. Slowly the calls became less often. Thomas understood. He did not get angry. He just waited by the phone every Sunday. Sometimes the phone rang. Sometimes it did not. Months passed. Thomas's health was not good. His legs were weak. His eyes were tired. He still watered his garden every evening, but now it took longer. He still made tea every morning, but now his hands shook a little. One evening, Thomas fell in his garden. He could not stand up. He lay there for almost an hour. A neighbor finally saw him and helped him inside. "Thomas, you must call your son," the neighbor said. "You need help." Thomas shook his head. "He is busy. I don't want to bother him." But something unexpected happened. The neighbor called Daniel without telling Thomas. She told him about the fall. She told him his father was alone and getting weaker. Daniel felt his heart drop. He had not visited in almost a year. He had not called in 3 weeks. He thought about his father's smile at the airport. He thought about the words, "Don't worry about me." That night, Daniel could not sleep. He looked at old photos on his phone, photos of his father teaching him to ride a bike, photos of his father at his school graduation, photos of birthdays, holidays, simple Sunday dinners. Daniel realized something painful. His father gave him everything, and Daniel had given his father very little time. The next day, Daniel asked his boss for time off. His boss said no, not yet, the project was too important. Daniel argued. He explained his father was alone and sick. His boss still said no. Daniel sat at his desk looking at the calendar. He thought about money. He thought about his career. He thought about his future. But this was only the beginning. That night, Daniel called his father. The phone rang many times. Finally, Thomas answered, his voice weak. "Daniel, is that you?" "Yes, Dad, I heard about your fall. Are you okay?" "I am fine, son, don't worry." But Daniel could hear the truth in his father's voice. He could hear the loneliness. He could hear the tiredness. He could hear years of silence between them. "Dad," Daniel said softly, "I am sorry I left you alone. I was so busy with my life I forgot about yours." Thomas was quiet. Then he spoke. You did not forget me, son. You are living your life. That is what I wanted for you. But you are alone, Dad. You fell and nobody was there. I should have called more. I should have visited more. Thomas's voice broke a little. I missed you, Daniel. Every Sunday I waited for your call. Every holiday I set 2 plates on the table even when you could not come. Daniel closed his eyes. Tears fell down his face. He thought about every missed call, every short conversation, every excuse he made. Dad, Daniel said, I am coming home, not just to visit. I am coming home to stay near you. Daniel, my job is not more important than you, Daniel said. I learned that too late, but I am learning it now. 2 weeks later, Daniel quit his job in the city. He found a smaller job near his father's town. It paid less money, but it gave him time to visit every weekend, time to call every day, time to sit with his father and drink tea in the morning. When Daniel arrived at the small house, Thomas stood at the door. His legs were still weak, but his smile was strong. You came back, Thomas said, his voice shaking. I am sorry it took me so long, Daniel said. He hugged his father tightly. I will not leave you alone again. Thomas held his son close. You are here now. That is what matters. Daniel stayed in the small house for many weeks while his father got stronger. They worked in the garden together. They fixed the old fence together. They talked about old memories, and they made new ones too. One evening they sat outside watching the sunset. Thomas looked at his son. Daniel, can I tell you something? Of course, Dad. I was never angry that you left, Thomas said. I was only sad that we lost time. Time is the only thing we cannot get back. Daniel nodded slowly. I understand now. I was chasing money and success, but none of that matters if there is nobody to share it with. Thomas smiled. Your mother used to say the same thing. She said, a house is empty without love inside it, no matter how big it is. Daniel looked at his father's tired but happy face. I will not make that mistake again, Dad. I promise. From that day, Daniel visited every weekend without fail. He called every single day, even just for 5 minutes. He learned to cook his father's favorite meals. He learned to listen more and talk less. Thomas's health slowly improved. He smiled more often. His garden grew beautiful flowers again. The empty chair was not empty anymore. 1 year later, on Thomas's birthday, Daniel organized a small party. Neighbors came. Old friends came. Thomas sat at the head of the table, surrounded by people who loved him. He stood up slowly and raised his cup of tea. I want to thank my son, he said, his eyes shining with tears. He left me alone for a while, but he came back and he taught me that it is never too late to fix what is broken. Daniel stood beside his father, holding his hand. And he taught me that family is more important than any job, any city, any amount of money. Everyone clapped. Thomas hugged his son tightly, like he never wanted to let go. That night, after everyone left, Daniel sat with his father on the porch. The stars were bright in the sky. Dad, Daniel said, thank you for forgiving me. Thomas smiled gently. There was nothing to forgive, son. Love does not need to be perfect. It only needs to come back home. Daniel looked at his father, this kind, patient man who waited so long, who never complained, who only wanted his son's happiness. He understood now what real love looked like. It looked like patience. It looked like sacrifice. It looked like an old man setting 2 plates on the table, hoping his son would come home. From that day forward, Daniel never let too much time pass again. He learned that success without family is empty. He learned that money cannot buy back lost time. He learned that the people who love us the most often say the least but feel the most. And every Sunday, without fail, father and son sat together, drinking tea, watching the sunset, grateful for every second they had together. Because in the end, the most important lesson Daniel learned was simple. Never leave the people you love alone. because time once lost can never truly be returned. But love given with patience and honesty can heal almost anything. If you enjoyed this story, remember its lesson. Call your family today. Visit them when you can. Time is the most precious gift you can give to the people you love. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next story.